Here's the sad reality about being online. If you have used Facebook, if you have tried to get a credit score, or if you've had a Yahoo email account anytime within the last 3 years for any of those things, then the chances that your data has either been leaked out to unsavory characters or just straight up sold by those corporations, the chances of that are roughly 99% if you are a U.S. citizen and you've done any of those three things within the last 3 years. That's pretty remarkable, right? We're almost 100% of us have either had our data leaked or stolen if we're in one of those online communities. Some of us, depending on how many of those you use, have had our data stolen and leaked multiple different times by multiple different companies. And here's the real kicker. Nobody's gone to jail. No CEO, no executive running these companies that routinely lose our data, none of them have ever faced any kind of actual consequence for this, except maybe a few class action lawsuits. Democratic Senator Ron Wyden, for months now, has been trying to change that. And he seems to be fighting an uphill battle all by himself to get some kind of accountability for these massive tech companies that continuously take our data. Ron Wyden, back in the fall, introduced legislation that would set a new standard. It would create new rules that these tech companies would have to follow with regards to our privacy and our data. And if they lied about it or didn't do everything properly, they could face massive fines of up to 4% of their annual revenue, which would result in billions upon billions of dollars for some of these companies, and possibly even jail time. Jail sentences, prison, for the CEOs and executives of these companies who knowingly leak our data or sell our data and then lie to us about it. They would go to jail under Ron Wyden's new bill that he is still pushing to this day. And again, this is a piece of legislation that desperately needs to be enacted. This is something that has to happen here in the United States. The tech companies, whether knowingly or unwittingly, are giving away our data. And the worst part are those who know that they're doing it, right? It's one thing to just be bad at your job and you leak a bunch of data and oops, you didn't notice that a hacker was in your system like Equifax for months stealing people's data and social security numbers and addresses and driver's license numbers. Oops, we didn't notice. But it's another to be a company like Facebook that takes your private messages and sells that data. It takes your address, it takes your interest, it takes your browsing history and sells that to people without your permission. Wyden's bill would change that. You could opt in to a do not share list and companies would no longer be able to sell your data. You might have to pay a small fee to be put on that list, but it would then protect your data. And if the companies lied about it in their annual reports to Congress that would be mandatory at this point, or reports to regulators, if they lied about it, they would go to jail and they would lose a lot of their profits. Isn't that the way this should work? If a company lies about what they're doing to you, if they're putting your personal data up there on the auction block without your knowledge, and then they not only lie to you about it, but lie to regulators about it, shouldn't that person be in jail? Shouldn't that person be made to be an example of what not to do? And that's what's missing in this country right now. It's been missing for decades. The example of what not to do. White-collar criminals are rampant on Wall Street, in the tech industry, in the oil industry, the fossil fuel industry, the chemical industry. We have seen nothing but criminal behavior from a lot of these CEOs and shareholders and executives. Pharmaceutical companies too. They're about the worst of the worst. And the reason they continue engaging in this kind of criminal behavior, putting out a medication that they know is going to kill people but also make them lots of money, dumping their toxins into a waterway knowing they're going to poison 40,000 people, but they don't want to spend the money to properly get rid of it. None of those CEOs or executives who made those decisions ever went to prison. And what that does is it sends a message to everybody else that it'll be okay. You can afford the fine. You don't have to worry about jail time, and everybody's going to be okay. Except, of course, all those people you gave cancer to who are dying slow, horrible, painful deaths. They're not okay, but that's not you, so what does it matter? Wyden's bill seeks to change that, at least for the tech industry. There is no reason why any person on Capitol Hill should vote against this. This is about our privacy. This is about our data. This is about our livelihoods. And if you're one of those people who have had your data stolen and then had to deal with the fallout of that, the phone calls to credit card companies, getting them to cancel, change your numbers, trying to get your money back from a bank after your debit card number was stolen. I've been through that. It is hell. And anyone who's gone through any of that understands the same thing. The companies that allowed this to happen, they need to see their CEOs pushed out of their penthouses, pushed out of their mansions, pushed out of the boardrooms, and shoved in the back of a police car, not to be seen again for the next 10 years. Thanks for watching, everybody. And don't forget, if you like what you see here, like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. And now you can also become a member of Ring of Fire and get exclusive early access to certain Ring of Fire videos all throughout the week. Just click on the little join button right below the video.